Marketing campaigns can feel like a guessing game without clear insights, but what if you could see exactly which strategies drive results? Hi, I'm Olivia and I'm from Adasight. And in this video, we're diving into how Amplitude's marketing attribution data can turn insights into impact. Now, why is marketing attribution so important? So, the efficiency of your marketing initiatives rely heavily on attribution. Understanding it and implementing it correctly allows you to link user behaviors to a certain marketing campaign or sources. Now, before we dive into Amplitude data, what I like to go through first is the multi-touch attribution. So the multi-touch attribution is the attribution calculations that you'll see in Amplitude. And in here, I have an example of a user who's clicked on 5 of your campaigns before conducting a purchase, which is our conversion metrics. In Amplitude, we have first touch attribution. First touch attribution assigns all credits to the initial touch point that the user engaged with before converting. They also have last touch attribution. In this approach, they give all the credit to the final touch point before the conversion. There's also linear attribution. So linear attribution, this model credits equally across all touch points leading up to the conversion. We have also U-shaped or position-based attribution. This model allocates 40% of the credit each to first here, and then 40% again to last touch, and with about remaining 20% distributed equally among the intermediate touch point. There's also the J-shaped. This J-shape, we look at the 2 most recent values, and then what they'll do is that they'll give 70% to the last touch while crediting 30% to the second to the last. There's also the inverse J-shape, where if you look at again the last 2, they'll give 70% to the first one and then the 30% to the last one. There's also the data-driven Markov attribution model. So this is more of a probabilistic approach to determine the impact of each touch point on conversion. It constructs a Markov chain to represent the sequence of users' interaction, calculates the probability of transitioning from one touch point to the other. And there's also the participation attribution. So participation attribution allocates full credit to all property values within a selected look-back window. So for example, I want to look at the user's activity within the last 6 months. And in the last 6 months, they clicked on these last 3 events. Participation will give equal credit to all these 3. Last but not least is the custom attribution model. The custom attribution model allows you to basically choose how much weight you would like to put in the attribution. So for example, you say, oh, I want 50% on the first touch and then 15% on the last touch, and then the remaining like 35% on the rest. It is completely up to you, completely customizable the way you want it. Now, these are all the attributions model that you can see in Amplitude. And then here, in Amplitude, you can see that you have, let's say, I want to see the number of unique users, or I want to see the number of total events. So each of this metric, not all of these metrics can look at different attribution type. So what they do is that for unique, they have 4 attribution that you can choose from, which is first touch, last touch, participation, and Markov. Conversion, you can look at 3 stuff, which is first touch, last touch, participation. And then, for event totals, you can see all attribution types. And then for property sum, revenue total, and formula, you can see for almost all attribution type except for Markov. Now, other than these multi-touch attribution, you might also want to see at other attributions such as mobile attribution. So for mobile apps, Amplitude integrates with mobile measurements partners, MMPs, like AppFlyers and Adjust. And then these integrations allow you to send mobile attribution data directly to Amplitude. And then so you can enable seamless tracking of app-related users. There's also web attribution. So this is done through JavaScript SDK, where Amplitude supports web attribution. There's also the Attribution API. Attribution API in Amplitude allows you to send attribution events directly to the platform. This is especially helpful if you are working together with third-party attribution services. There's also cross-platform attribution. Cross-platform attribution capabilities let you track across various platforms such as web, iOS, and Android. So this ensures that you can attribute users correctly regardless of the platform that you use. Last but not least, we also have auto capture attribution. The auto capture features is basically automatically gathers all these attribution data on website, providing a quick and easy way of tracking without complex configuration. So let's dive into Amplitude. In this example, I have a dummy data in Amplitude where we can look at the number of purchases. And in this case, I wanted to look at unique purchases and I wanted to group them by UTM campaign, for example. So here you see that you can click on this three dots here, and then you can click on the attribution, and these are the models of attribution that you can choose from. For example, I wanted to choose last touch, and then I want to look at the last 90 days. And this is the numbers that we're going to have. But for example, I wanted to look at event totals. And here, this is the breakdown where X shop find is about 4.8%. And then later on, if I change this to, let's say, data driven, the numbers might change because they attribute the models to something else. So this is basically how you would look at data in Amplitude using the multi-touch attribution that they have. Now, there are a few considerations for data attribution success in Amplitude. So number one is the inclusion of advertising ID data. So attribution requests must contain advertising ID. And in order to associate attribution models with specific users, you would need one is the IDFA, which is identifier for advertiser. IDFA is a unique anonymous identifier for iOS devices assigned by Apple. There's also IDFV, which is another unique identifier for iOS devices, but unlike IDFA, it is consistent across all apps from a single vendor or developer on a device. There's also ADID, which is Android Advertising ID. It serves the same thing as IDFA, but for Android. So we need all of these IDs in order to stitch attribution data from multiple devices. Number two is timing. So there is a hurry to successfully correlate events that begins when an attribution event is created to maximize the data-driven attribution model accuracy. So for up to 72 hours, Amplitude stores its attribution events to match the user. So sending up a follow-up event with advertising ID data within this window is very crucial for accurate attribution. Without it, you might miss important attribution opportunities. So number three is making sure that all your UTMs are with the proper case sensitivity format. Again, attribution is matching case sensitive. So if you have different maybe spelling or capitalization or formatting, those data might not be able to stitch well. Lastly, you need to allow time for accurate attribution. Attribution models require time to process and for that data to match correctly. So please give Amplitude sufficient time to complete these processes before expecting attribution results to appear in the user interface. We typically give around 24 hours for Amplitude to kind of process the whole thing. So some common Amplitude attribution use cases. Number one is acquisition channel credit. So, we wanted to assess organic and paid channel using the multi-touch attribution models. We want to understand how each channel influences your key performance indicator. You can better allocate your resources to high-performing channels and improve overall marketing effectiveness. Number two is comparing attribution models for long conversion cycles. So when we deal with longer conversion cycles, right, comparing different attribution models can help you identify which campaign have the most impact at various stages in the customer journey. This can ensure that credit is distributed correctly across all touch points, leading to more accurate insights and better decision making. Number three is maybe content attribution beyond views. Content attribution goes beyond measuring simple view counts, right? By tracking how content attributes to your business KPIs, you can understand the role in the acquisition process and refine your content strategy for maximum impact. Next is internal campaign attribution, measures how your internal marketing campaigns contributes to business value. By attributing credits to a specific touchpoint, you can gauge the effectiveness of your internal efforts into driving conversions, leading to improved targeting and better marketing outcomes. Last but not least is paid channel with LTV. So if you combine attribution models with lifetime values, metrics based on users' behavior to understand the long-term value of paid channel. This combination allows for a deeper understanding on how paid channel contributes to both immediate conversion and long-term retention. In conclusion, attribution data is very crucial for businesses to understand how their advertisements are helping their businesses. I hope this video is able to give you a broader understanding on how we can combine data from multiple channels to provide your businesses for a better view of user attribution journey. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any question or is currently facing problems, you can refer to the article linked below on how to troubleshoot your Amplitude attribution data. Thank you so much for watching. Have a nice day. Bye.